Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am Steve Wormer, and I am the host of the You Are Worthy Network. And you might be asking, if you haven't joined one of our interviews before, what is the You Are Worthy Network? Where does this come from? I'll tell you exactly where it comes from. It comes from my old and sometimes present stinking mindset. How about that? Anybody struggle with stinking mindset? Anybody struggle with negative thinking, limited thinking, imposter syndrome, lack of self love, lack of self worth? This is for you. Because as I did deep mindset work the last year and a half, I realized that I've been drinking the laced Kool Aid that
Mm.
I wasn't worthy of love, respect, or success. How about that? Anybody relate to that? And I realized that even though I knew it wasn't true here, I hadn't gotten it to my heart where it really mattered. So I created this to just do my little part to encourage whoever wants to be a part of my community that your story's not over yet.
Mm.
You're just in the middle of a chapter.
Mm.
The whole book's not written yet. And so we come on here and we interview incredible people about their highlights, about their successes, but not just that. Maybe about a time they didn't feel worthy,
Mm.
maybe a thing or two that they've overcome, because I think we all relate to that. That's why this was created. So, all that being said, enough about that. You're like, tell me about Dana. That's what you want to know. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dana, and then she's going to tell us a lot more. Dana Grant is an international master life and business coach, best-selling author of The Truth Within the Lie: How to Align with Universal Principles to Create the Life You Deserve, host of global retreats, keynote speaker, host of top performing podcast The Dana Grant Show, and co-founder of the multi-million dollar brand Cauliflower, I may have said that wrong, Foods.
Got it
Her
right.
influence spans continents, leading transformational retreats in Italy and delivering sold out masterclasses in Paris and Amsterdam. From her triumphant defeat of her debilitating illness, in which she battled addiction and found a path to recovery, to setting unbreakable corporate sales records, she is now on a soul quest to see everyone reach their full potential. Her mission is clear: to ignite the soul potential in every person she meets. Her work has been featured in Forbes, Microsoft, Medium, New York Today, Miami Post, and more, making her a recognized voice in the fields of transformation, business, and intuitive leadership. How about that resume, folks? Dana, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Yeah. Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, it isn't it always kind of how do you feel when somebody reads your bio back to you like that?
Well, there's always a little imposter syndrome where I want to downplay. Just like when you said you're going to read the whole bio, I'm like, oh, let's just like scan through it. I think that nobody wants to take ownership and we want to curate and we want to redesign and say, well, I didn't do all that. And maybe that, and I think we want to minimize, instead of maximize. And I think that's part of imposter syndrome and something that, I'm going to just dive right into what you said on your own bio. We were born worthy. It is our birthright. We were born worthy. We came into this world with two fears: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. That is it. Everything else is exactly the way that God designed it. We are worthy. And that being our birthright, so is abundance and all the and love and all the other things. But we seem to think that we've heard stories along the way that we have to work hard for that, or we've heard something along the way and we pick that up and we digest it and we build out that we're not worthy, or we're an imposter, or we don't believe we're smart enough, good enough, and we build our lives around that. So there's my little take on what you just said or asked.
Absolutely. Dana, tell the viewers Well, and let me back this up. So, one of the blessings of having a group that's exploded by the grace of God is I've got people that'll eventually watch this interview all
Yeah.
over the world. What corner of the world are you coming from today?
Well, I'm coming from Northern California and I'm going to need to shut my window. Last night, it got 90 degrees in Northern California yesterday. And of course, my house, the AC stopped working. So I hear them out my window working. So I'm going to shut the window so you don't hear that little bit of clattering. So I'm sorry, I know we're live, but I'm going to shut
No
that
problem.
because I forgot my window was open. And there we go. So back to it. So yeah, I'm in Chico, California.
Okay. All right. And t tell me about your family. Who do you like to do life with?
Oh, well, I have three daughters, 38, 36, 27. They'll love that. And I am currently a new grandmother of 10-week-old Luca,
Oh,
my new grandson.
congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah. This is there, it's such a blessing. I wrote a book, The Truth Within the Lie. You talked a little bit about my bio addiction illness. And, I think I do all of this because of my love for them, but I didn't come into this world with a lot of skill sets on how to do it the way I needed to do it. And rebooting and relearning. And I think that everything I do is generated to make sure they feel loved and that I break generational cycles and not only break them, but I teach them a new way. And that took consistency and a commitment to holding space for them, a commitment to healing. Because if I was not a healed version, everything would trigger me and I would be defensive and defensive and defensive like I was for years. And now they're able to share their pain with me. And my book, I devoted to them. I mean, the intro is about them. I did this for you.
Mm,
Because my love was unquestionable, but my skill set was less than, whew, I look back on it and I don't attach shame to it anymore, but wow, oh, wow. I look at it and I'm like, ouch. And now what I can do is break that cycle. And now when something happens, I hold a different space and I hear them where before I could not hear them in my own suffering and my own pain, my own trauma and chaos.
yeah, well, but I know you know this full well. You got to give grace to who you were then for what you didn't know at that point, right?
Oh, not just grace. I mean, well, let's elevate the grace into love, pure love.
Mm,
I go back and I look at every version that got me here. I cannot shame any version, not the one that abused the medicine, not the one that was sick, not the one that was a screaming perfection paralysis maniac, not any of those versions can I shame. I go back and I love them because they did their very best.
mhm.
My job now is when we know better, and I think this is a universal law and it's God's law. When we know better, we're required to do better. If we don't know, we don't know. But it's our job when we do know better to do something about it. And that is our integrity and my soul's mission when I know better. And I'm a student forever. I'm a student of this world, this universe forever. I'm always going to be
Yeah,
learning and evolving. Once you, as you know, once you start this work, it just keeps expanding. And that's heart-centered.
absolutely.
That's heart-centered work. The ego retracts, divides, separates, judges. The heart expands, heals, forgives, and asks better questions like, what do I need to know?
Ooh, yeah, I like that a lot. So let's go back in time a little bit.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about 18-year-old Dana.
Oh,
Where,
wow.
what was she like? What was the mindset like? What
Oh,
was the dreams that she had? Tell us what was going on then.
wow. Well, I graduated from high school early. I bounced around a lot between my parents and ended up with my grandparents. So at 18, I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area. I had dreams of going to college, all the things, but I really did not have any support. I had an alcoholic father. I had a mother that was busy surviving her own trauma. And I was at 18 completely alone, terrified. I don't mean frightened, terrified. So my core wound of safety. So here I come from this upperly mobile family that looks like there's so much support and so I was alone and I was on my own. And at 18, I remember my car payment was made to the Lloyd's Bank of London, and I had my last $89 payment. And I worked at something called Coco's, a restaurant in the Bay Area. I come out for my shift at 11 o'clock at night and my car is gone. I thought it was stolen, but my stepmother and father towed it away because I couldn't afford the insurance. They had always covered the insurance. I made the payments. Last payment, towed it away, sold the car. And here I am in the Bay Area, 18. I am a very young 18. I'd lived a very pretty sheltered life, um, terrified, living on someone's floor in her studio apartment. Um, Taking me there probably, but you said 18-year-old Dana, there's no mistakes. I remember laying in the bathtub with this robe and just begging Jesus to save me. Please, I'm so frightened. Please don't leave me here.
Mm.
And and look at me now. I mean, I'm 61 now. All those years of faith and forgiveness, and I think faith and forgiveness are such a core foundation of what I do, because there's no way I had to forgive versions of myself, but I also had to forgive the imperfect mom and my dad who drowned when I was 30. I never even really got, and this is the deal. We
Mm.
don't all the time, we don't get the opportunity to have that forgiveness with people. But we have to, it's always one-on-one, and that's universal law of cause and effect. And we are first cause. It is all about our relationship to us on how we're able to hold space and forgive the situation, whether we get to play it out or not.
And forgiveness is a fascinating thing because we actually don't need the other person for us to forgive. We can do that from the power of God. Now, if
Exactly.
if you say to me, Dana, Steve, I'm so sorry for what I did to you, your
Mm,
sincere apology makes it easier for
yeah.
me to forgive. May
Yeah.
expedite the process. But you're right, like people that have passed away that have never said sorry. I didn't expect to go this deep this quick, but it's okay. We roll with it. We're live.
Yeah.
Um, then when we have to fight deep to forgive. And make no mistake, forgiveness is different than trust
Oh, yeah.
and reconciliation. Reconciliation takes two. It may not
Yeah.
always happen, but
Yeah.
forgiveness
Yeah.
always has to happen.
Well, this is the deal. The ego wants to protect us, and it does a really good job at protecting us through dangerous situations. However, when we start to heal and outgrow that, it's still coming in to protect, and that's our subconscious. And you think about it, and the subconscious is 95% of where we navigate. That's our most dominant thought every day is coming from our subconscious. So if we think about 65,000 thoughts a day, and
Oof.
85% are repetitive and 75% are negative. And this is statistically proven. We have this 5% over here we have to integrate. We have to make and our greatest power is the right to choose. Every day we have an opportunity to choose. And what are you going to choose? And I think about that, and I think about the heart expands. We talked about that. And I think about the heart doesn't question our worthiness, but the ego does. So where's your bind? Worry, doubt, fear, ego. You're in the bind. And then we have the terror barrier. And the only thing dividing us from stepping into a life that we desire and planting the spiritual seeds that we desire is the newness of what we don't know. So we want the same
Mm.
problem and we stay in the bind trying to work out the same problem and getting the same result with different. Well, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it. How about we just say, what a valuable lesson, pivot, but people will do anything. I have found in years and years of coaching people all over the world. They will avoid the newness of a new situation. The ego will come in and protect us, and it will get clever and reinvent. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing how the ego will double down.
So give me that number again. You said what percentage of negative thoughts do we have?
75%. So we have 65,000 minimum thoughts a day. 85% are repetitive. So we're repeating the same thought process every
Wow.
day, and 75% of those are negative. We're hardwired and geared for it. So God gave us the power and the will to make our own decisions. Free will. You have free will, which means our greatest power, and our greatest power is the right to choose. Every day we make a choice. You either are going to repeat the same cycle or you're going to step into something new. You're going to say yes to something new. I don't care if you fall flat on your face and pick yourself back up. There are no mistakes. There's only what do I need to know? And if you're making a new decision and it doesn't play out the way you've attached your expectations to it, you're still moving forward. But over here, reinventing the same mistakes, the cycle, the bind, you're just, I call it the maze. You're just in a maze and you're running around the maze and you're making zero progress. I say make the mistakes, make them fast, do them quickly, and you're still evolving forward. You're like, now I won't do that again. Yeah, I won't do that again. Oh, pivot. And, people are like, I've made so many mistakes. And I'm like, oh, what a big life because you're trying, you're making the effort.
Yeah. So is that 75%? Does it improve as you do mindset work, or do you just catch it quicker?
Well, I wouldn't say
Is
you
that
master it, but yeah, you do. You interrupt. And,
hmm
in the beginning, when I start working with people, I ask them what they're tolerating. I listen to their stories, and then I ask them to set their timer, their Apple phone or something, and interrupt their thoughts, maybe every 2 hours. And then I ask, what is your most dominant thought? Is it the same thing over and over again? And it usually is. It's fear based. It's scarcity, it's lack, it's stories that aren't even yours that you've adapted. Maybe it's, I need to
yeah.
work really hard to make money, or money doesn't grow on trees, or, stories we've heard along the way that we've adapted, and there are truth. And that's why my book, The Truth Within the Lie, it wasn't my truth at all, but it was what I adapted as truth because I took the stories and well, of course they're true. This is what I know to be true. And then I challenged them and I'm like, oh, that's not the truth. We can talk about the medicine. I thought the medicine was saving my life. Well, at some point, the medicine was killing me. And, in my mind, well, the medicine is saving my life. The doctor said I'm going to die without it. Well, I knew one day as I was looking at those scripts, I was going to die with it. I had to rip those, I had to find a new way. Now, I did not know what that looked like. So I did. So people want to wait for the solution to come and then I'll make the change. Nope. Nope. You're going to have to make the decision without the solution, without attaching it to anything. And I can guarantee you it will, if you have the faith, it will keep opening up because you've made the decision. And when we make one decision, it just keeps coming and you're like, and how many times have we heard this? Well, I made the decision to leave and then this was crazy that this happened, or and then that happened and then this door opened up and then I had that opportunity. I hear it over and over again. It's kind of like the white car syndrome. We think we're going to buy a white car and then we don't see a white car and then all of a sudden we see that Camry everywhere and we're like, wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the power of our thinking and the power of our habits.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Years and years ago, gosh, how many years has it been now? Is it almost? It is. It's 30 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
I am very strong-willed, but I'm also very weak-willed at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll explain. Let's say you and I were actually in the same room, and you had a soda, and you poured me just a sip of Pepsi, Coke, whatever it is. I can't have that sip. No, I can, but if I do, I already know that I'm all or nothing. I'll start
Yeah.
drinking five 20-ounce bottles tomorrow from just a sip. It's an addictive personality. So
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago, I knew I needed to quit smoking for my health. I'd been smoking for about 7 years. My
Mm-hmm.
my biological father was passing away. He had just passed away. Had he passed away? Almost. He hadn't passed away yet, but he was sick from lung cancer and emphysema. And I said, I got to stop. I can't let this get too far down the road. And
Mm-hmm.
I made a decision that it was in the evening. I said, I'm done. And when I
Right.
make a decision, I'm
Yeah.
done. Woke up the next morning because this was my habit. I would light up in bed as I got out of bed to start my day. That's how bad it was. And I took like two puffs. I know you guys listening out there can't imagine this, but I'm just being real. I took two puffs. I'm like, what am I doing? I just made a commitment a few hours ago that I was done with this. And I was
Yeah.
I was disgusted with myself, at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I put that thing out and I've not picked up one since. But what made me still do it a few hours later, the power of habits.
Yeah, I think that our commitment, we have to be really, really careful. Commitments are powerful. We make commitments all day long, and we are consistent to that commitment. We have to make a commitment that works for us. People are all or nothing, which is very brutal.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about in the beginning, what does grace look like? How about we have grace and you build it in and you tritate off? Most people that are on medication and or addiction going all or nothing could kill them. They could go into seizures and all kinds of things. I think that we do that to punish ourselves, that we should be doing it anyway. And it's self-talk. What about we are first cause? What about kindness and compassion? We would do it for a stranger. We talk
Right.
about self-love. We talk about showing up in the world. We talk about, worthiness being our birthright, and the heart doesn't even recognize the lack of worthiness. It's just your soul is just there to expand and connect. It's the ego that's over here dividing, separating, judging, questioning, shaming. And this is why the versions of us that got us here, we have to love. I love every version. She got me here. She never failed me. She got me here. There are no mistakes. We come into this world with stories and generational trauma, and we think, what's the worst thing? There's so much in life that happens. And we talked a little bit about that prior to our call. And people have this image of how beautiful our life is or how effortless. And everyone is struggling. There isn't anyone out there that isn't struggling with their own circumstances. And don't measure yours to them, but just show up in service and say, how can I help you? How can I hear you? Because people don't listen very well. They're so keen to do the upmanship. Well, yeah, I'm sure that's going on with you, but wait till you hear what's going on with me. I hear that a lot. And it's like, can we just hold space for the
Yeah.
vast amount of chaos and trauma? And I think half of it, I was married to a physician for a long time, and he said, half of what I do isn't medicine, it's listening. They need to be heard. And I thought,
Mhm.
wow, that's interesting. And I think that we have a hearing problem with what people are truly saying. And being a born intuitive, I listen to people, but I hear what they truly are saying. And that's where I start. I look at their life, what they're tolerating, what they're achieving, what they think they can do, what their cap, their high low is, where they live, what the parameters are, what their boundaries are. It's like when they're on my radar, I like circulate around them. And literally, it's a deconstruct and a rebuild. It's like let's let that go. Are you willing to let that go? Is that serving you? Is that building out the life you want? Well, no. Then why would you like to keep it? Safety.
Mm,
And
mm.
I wrote something down today that is going to be in my newsletter. And I said, safety is seductive. And it is. Safety is seductive. It's cozy. It's warm. Let's light a fire. Let's binge TV. Let's eat all our comfort food. That's very seductive. To say, I'm going to go home. Even when I travel, coming home is like, oh, I just want to climb into my warm bed. I want my bath. I want this. I want my robe. It can be very seductive to stay there. We must always challenge our that security, that safety, because safety, when I say safety is seductive, it is. And then we'll make excuses why we can't do this or that. And we hear it all the time. Why people can't join your worthy network. Oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm not available at that time. Anything. And
Yeah.
it's never about that. It's about challenging their system, their safety, and what people may find out about them or what they're protecting. People don't like to be terrifically vulnerable.
I mean, there's so much gold in what you're sharing right now. Safety is seductive. That's gold for sure. We have a hearing problem, and we've heard that quote before about there's a difference between listening to respond versus
Yeah.
listening to understand. We're such a society that thinks we have to have all the answers, have to
Yeah.
look good. It's ego driven. It's okay if you really don't know to simply say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're going through this, but I'm here
Yeah.
for you. I
Yeah.
don't know why I mean, now sometimes it's our poor decisions that can get us there too. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but bad things happen to good people.
Every day.
And I love
Every
I
day.
love that your ex-husband said that a lot half of what he does is listening.
Yeah.
People want to be heard.
Yeah.
And I also love and I won't go, I've got a question for you, and it's not based on this, but I want to finish this thought. I love what you said about I love every version of myself. I that hit me. Like I'm trying to embrace that in real time right now. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
I'll sit on that and meditate on that.
Yeah.
But that's awesome because we all make mistakes. We
Yes.
all are growing and maturing and
Yep.
progressing to the person we are today. And we
Yep.
wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be the
Yeah.
person we are without the old. So I love, love,
Yeah.
love that. You
Yeah.
know, Dana, I was taking a couple of notes before we went on, and I'm I guess I could have done this when I read your bio,
No, it's
but
all good.
and I'll probably miss something, so I apologize if I do. But
No.
author, coach, keynote speaker, podcast host, retreat host, and much
Yeah.
more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's do a little let's have a little fun.
Sure.
Let's say you've been granted a day that's
Mm.
totally yours. Now, I'm going to go two different directions with this.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2 days. I'm going to give you an entire day that has
Mm.
nothing on your calendar. It has no business appointments at all.
Mm.
No need to check emails. No need to check your voicemail. You can go anywhere in the world and do anything for fun and relaxation that you want to do. What
Mm.
does that day look like?
Well, actually, that is not so hypothetical. That is what I do now. I have a great team. The more I'm in flow, the more I honor me, the more integrity I am with what I need. So there's many days I do that and in flow. But I can tell you right now, I would go right to Florida to where my Luca, my grandson, is, just because he's just and in fact, I'm getting ready. I'll be all over the country with keynotes, and I'm in California. And I could say it's easier to bounce out of Florida to all the places I need to go, live taping podcasts and keynotes. But I'll be spending the month there with him while my daughter goes back to work. So I will alter my schedule. There'll be long days because I love my work. I would choose this every single day. Doesn't feel like work for me. Um, but blending all that in with the joy of him, oh my gosh. I mean, I never thought I would be one of those grandmothers or degam. I call myself a degamma because D gamma, degamma, and I thought that was really clever. And people are like, those people that make up their own words just don't want to get old and be a grandma. No, I just thought D is what they usually say first, and he's going to say degamma first before anything. Like
It's
they
creative.
normally say dog, so I'm like, I'm waiting for him to say, but incorporating all that in is flow. It's joy. We cannot wait. People play the waiting game. I'll do that when. I don't believe in bucket lists. Bucket for what? You're going to put your life in
Yeah.
a bucket and wait for it? Because I coach people that are in their 80s that coulda, shoulda, woulda. I wish. No, now's the, people delay and they delay and they delay. I'm not delaying anything. I'm making it work. I'm leaving California now. I love the security. I love my home. I love it all. But I'm going to go and I'm going to work from there and I'm going to soak up the magic. I'm never going to get that time back. I'm going to get to spend that month with him and watch him expand and grow. And let's not forget, I'll be with my daughter too. But I have three daughters. I got to be careful there because I love them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. But this is the deal. We have to make the decision and do it. Now, I could have sat on the fence and said, "Oh, that's complicated. It's difficult. I don't know. I don't know." We made it work. We just executed it, did it, and we'll iron out the wrinkles. It's going to be
Yeah,
brilliant.
I love that, and I want you to be thinking, and maybe like you said, you're already living it, so maybe you don't have to give it much thought. I want you to be thinking about because I've got a response to what you just said. Be thinking about what the perfect day business wise would look like, because doing all the things you do, there's probably seasons for some, maybe some
Mm.
overlap, but probably can't do all of that in an 8 hour
Mm.
period. But
Yeah.
I love what you were talking about with some of your older clients in the woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Oh, yeah.
And some that may listen to what I'm about to say have heard me say this, and I haven't said it in a while. My last talk that I delivered was
Mhm.
called On the Other Side of Your Yes.
Mm.
And I have not said yes to a lot of things for many, many years. And I'm starting to say yes
Mm.
more. And I'm starting to see the blessings of saying those yeses.
Right.
And that happened with somebody that I had interviewed, and I was invited into a room that she was going to be in with her speaker coach and a group he had. And I was
Yeah.
excited because I knew it was a room I needed to be in.
Yeah.
But what happens, at least my experience, I don't think I'm alone, is it's when you get off the phone
Mhm.
and then a short while later, maybe it's the next day, maybe it's a couple hours later, when the
Mhm.
excitement fades a little bit and you go back into
Mhm.
your routine, oh, you can better believe here comes imposter syndrome, here comes fear, here comes doubt, here comes the excuses.
Yeah.
And long story short, I went and had a great time, knew three people in the room, ended up interviewing somebody in that room. It
Mm.
was awesome. And
Yeah.
now I want to say yes more. And I just
Yeah.
had another situation happened last week where a dear friend of mine, who's a speaker coach, told me about an event I could enter. And he already knew all my excuses. He took them
Yeah.
away even before I could open my mouth.
Yeah.
And long story short, I signed up last night to do it. And
Bravo.
I'm like, I'm so excited about these yeses where it used to cause
Yeah.
me anxiety. Now it doesn't, like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't mean that the fear doesn't come back in,
Yeah.
but we learn to be in control of our thoughts
Yeah.
versus the other way around. But I just wanted, I love what you said because this
Yeah.
life is short.
Yeah.
We're not promised tomorrow. We know people die young all the time.
All the time.
Why wait to the bucket list? Let's do it today. Yes.
And it's epidemic, the waiting game. It's epidemic, I'll do it when. It's epidemic. I say you haven't done it yet. Stop. I haven't done it. I haven't experienced it. You haven't experienced it yet. You haven't done it yet. I love that word yet because
I
it
do too.
open and we can hold space for it. But Nike said it best. Just do it. I walked the Camino last year and I've had my legs are riddled with scars. I've lost a lot of muscle. People are like, you're not going to be able to do that every. Not only did I did it, I did it effortlessly. I walked from Porto to Santiago, and then spent another time in Spain and Portugal. This is the deal. We are the only ones that limit ourselves. We create these stories and then we live in them, and because it's that safety is seductive. I can't, my legs are dead. Oh, I can't, they might swell. Really, oh, I can't because people might see my scars and they might judge me, and my ankle may swell and they may say, oh my God, what's wrong with your ankle, which has happened. And what is that connected to? A version of me that has shame attached to it. And now I'm just like, yeah, look at that. I need to elevate it above my heart, get some ice on it, and we'll be good to go tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. So if we take ownership and we keep moving and we keep saying yes, the only one that can take the shame out of our game is us. And that is by
Yep.
telling your story, owning your story, radical, radical accountability and forgiveness. If I take radical accountability for my life, I'm going to have a lot of forgiving to do because there is a lot of versions of me that loved the perfection. I was a lobbyist. I was an active non-listener. You said waiting to, I mean, I was like a piranha waiting. I didn't want to hear one word they said because I wanted to win that argument so I could, pass the bill. So I was an active, not, and it came out of, it was normal for me. Everyone's like, how do you do that so well? I set records. Well, organically. That was trauma driven. I couldn't do it now. I couldn't achieve that
Mm,
now because the healed version of me wouldn't allow me to talk over, to railroad, to bully. I was aggressive. I was a rage driver. I screamed in my house all the time. Everything had to be perfect. I ruined holidays. I have an enormous amount of shame that I could step into, or I can take the ownership of the healing and show up differently and hold space. And this is the real tough spot. I have three daughters I'm very close to, and I hold space for their trauma. Sometimes they're angry. Sometimes they're like, what's this life coaching BS of you now? And I know that version, and that version is, why didn't you do this then? And I'm like, I love the hope of put on a prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And I hold space for them. I'm sorry. I love you. I
mm,
hear you. And they don't need a solution. They need to be heard because for so long I was in a defensive mode. That's not true. That because see, if I owned it, then I'd have to feel it. I'd have to feel the shame. So I would be defensive. No, no, no. The doctors gave it to me. I did exactly what they told me to do. All that's true, but there is accountability there. I had to be radically accountable. I don't have an addictive personality. I've never drank alcohol in my life. I've never done illegal in my life. But here it comes this prescription medicine, and I'm like, I did it exactly what they told me to do. But then I became dependent on it. And so it's tricky. It's tricky because I could say I abused it because I think in my mind, I crossed the line of the physical pain and the emotional pain I was dealing with. It got very blurred on why I was using it at some point. And they said, well, use it before you. So this is how I rationalize. Well, use it before the pain comes or you'll never be able to back out of it. And I'm like, better use it now before the pain comes. So see, it was a slippery slope and I have to be accountable for all that because we know the truth. I know the truth. I was using it when I didn't need to use it. And when I tore those scripts up that day and said, enough. And I was taking enough 20,000 milligrams of Demerol a month. It's enough to kill an elephant,
oof.
literally enough.
Wow.
The, why I'm alive, I do not know. I do not know. God obviously had something he wanted me to do here. But I can guarantee you this, when they said I was going to lose my legs from 17 forms of staph, that I'm losing my teeth, and
Ooh.
this is what I said, God, if I can keep these legs, I'm going to pay it forward the rest of my life. I will do everything you need me to do. And I have lived true to that. Doesn't mean perfectly. I didn't say I'll
Mm,
do it perfectly, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up imperfectly and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep saying yes to anyone that needs. If this talk right here, if one person hears this
mhm.
and makes a change in their life or takes ownership of something or sees someone that needs help and reaches out, we are all connected. We are all in this world, which I think is a community. And it's like just help your neighbor. Help your neighbor. How difficult is that? To I sit on planes all the time. It is amazing how people don't talk to each other. And and sometimes I don't want to either. I'm tired. I've got my headphones on and I'm just want to go to sleep. But I always lean over and I say, "Hey, how are you today? You
Yeah.
okay? You doing okay? Where are you coming from? Going home? What does that take? 5 seconds to let someone say, "Hey, I see you're sitting next to me for the next 8 hours."
Mm. So, so good. There's so many places I could camp about, the former versions and the kids trying to push that button and
Oh, no one will push our buttons more than, oh, let's just go there. No one will push our buttons more than our children, our spouses, people that are close to us.
yep.
And then, and I mean, I just got back from my daughters and my middle daughter flew in and two of them on me. When they're together, one on one is great. When they get together, I'm kind of sport. I'm mom. They're going to be ride me a little bit harder. And
Hmm.
I was a little provoked. I could feel them rubbing up against my trauma, and I was tired. And I I became a little reactive. And then I immediately stepped back and said, it's not like we fix it. We don't fix it. We're aware of it. And then I said, I'm sorry. That was a little reactive. Let's all do a reset. And that's what we do. That's what we do. And we move on.
Ooh, so good. So good. I'm thinking just ever so briefly about my mom who's been gone 20 years in August.
Mm,
And
sorry.
there
Yeah.
was some oil and water there, especially in the
Mm,
teen years and
yeah.
early adult years, which
Yeah.
looking back, guess what? A lot of that was me and immature and anger and all that. And I've forgiven her obviously
Yeah.
for her parts,
Yeah.
but even in this conversation, and even life experiences is help as I've learned more about her life when she was younger,
Yeah.
empathizing with what
Yeah.
she went through.
Compassion.
And,
Yeah.
and she didn't have access to some of the healing tools that I've been blessed to gain along the way. That
And
doesn't mean,
generationally. And
well,
generationally.
they didn't talk about those things.
No. No.
What I'm trying to say in short, which I can't do because I'm a preacher, is she made mistakes like I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
She made different mistakes
Yeah.
than mine, but mine are still mistakes. And she did the best she could with the tools she had. And that gives me empathy for her as I get older,
Yeah.
which is healthy. So, and it's good. You know, I'm going to change direction just for a minute.
Sure.
I want you to think about your your clientele
Hmm.
over the years. I want you to take a sampling of that clientele. And I want you to try, and I think you'll be really good at this.
Mm,
I want you to really think about just three words
mm,
that would describe how they felt, descript words about how they were feeling before working with you.
mm. Three words:
Three words.
unlovable, unworthy, unvalued.
Ooh, I got to get that down. Unlovable, unworthy, unvalued.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't know how to hold value for themselves. They didn't feel worthy. They felt unloved. I think it all starts, and you mentioned that it starts with we're first cause. Self-love, isn't bubble baths, and it's about every day showing up, doing your very best and loving your versions of you that got you here, loving the version of me that is showing up every day, that I'm doing my very best. And that varies day to day. If we have expectations, we're never going to meet them. It doesn't mean not to set goals and aspirations, but if we attach our life to an expectation, you're never living in the present moment. The past doesn't need me anymore. It just doesn't need me. The future doesn't need me. The here and the now needs me. So I stay present every day. And I'm like, what do you need from me today? And then, and that's what I do every day in the mirror. What do you need from me today? But I wake up and I say a little prayer, a mantra. I get up every morning at 3 a.m. and it's like, whew, I am worthy. All is working out for my higher good. I am worthy. I am safe. I am loved. All is working out for me. I think I claim all
Unknown
is working
caller.
out for my higher self. All is working out. I don't say some things will work out, some things won't. It's just I claim I am safe. I am loved. I am worthy. All is well in my world. I am safe. I am loved. I am worthy. And I expand on that sometimes, but I think that what I want to do is regulate my nervous system so I don't wake up anxious. My most dominant thought when I wake up is no longer
Mm,
fear-based. It's love-based. I wake up before my alarm goes off at 3 a.m. I'm excited for my day. What's in store for me today? That does not mean that it's a red letter day every day. There's things that go wrong. Like we just said, I had to shut my window, my air conditioning. I mean, there are life challenges. There's tax bills. There's things that pile up on us. And you know what? It's just, I cannot live my life, and I refuse to live it from circumstances. Circumstances will happen, but I live my life from a place of faith and knowing where I'm going. And I just find most everything pretty interesting. It's amazing how reactive I used to be, like the sky is falling, chicken little all the time. All the time. Like crisis, crisis, crisis. Now it's like, yeah, well, that's unfortunate. And then I pivot quickly on solution based. Is there anything I can do about it right now? Nope. Have I done everything I need to do? Yep. And then I file it in a box and I'm back present. I am completely, I could not work at the level I do at if I was distracted by the unresolved of things I couldn't fix. And so I
Right.
stay very grateful. Nope, 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 boom, and I take action. It doesn't have to be perfect action, but I take action. And one action leads to another, to another, to another, to another. And then guess what? One thing I will not do is the procrastination paralysis, where you procrastinate. I'll do that later because we don't want to look at our bank account. We don't want to look. I look at my bank account. I don't care if there's $1 in there or 1 million in there. That one, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for what that is, because when you're grateful, everything expands. I'm only going to have more of it. Or if I say, oh my God, worry, doubt, fear, lack, scarcity, I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to lose my house. Ah, I'm only creating more of that. And that is just the law of physics. That is just energy. Whatever our most dominant thought, whatever we're thinking, we are going to live. Our thoughts create our life every moment, every day. So I do my very best. I put it aside and like, okay, what do you need me to know? Boom, I'm back in this present moment.
Oh my goodness. Boy, now the alignment that you and I have is
Yeah,
coming out in full force.
yeah,
I'm gonna just piggyback off of that for a second, and then
sure.
I'm gonna give you three more words to work
Oh,
on, and then
sure.
we're gonna wrap this up.
Oh, I love
I
these games.
love what you just said. I
Fabulous.
it took me 50 it took me about 49 years, and I'm still a work in progress, by the way. Imagine that. It took me 49 years to
Ditto.
learn that we can only hold one dominant thought at a time.
Yeah,
And so if I'm anxious, that's going to dominate. If I'm
yeah.
choosing mistrust, dominate. Um, the sky is falling, that's going to dominate.
And
And
let's just add in there, if you're anxious, you cannot be grateful. If you're grateful,
that's
you
where I'm
cannot
going.
be anxious.
That's
Yeah. I mean,
exactly where I'm
it's
going.
so
And if
simple. Look at the physics there. It's so easy. There's a hard way,
oh,
there's an easy way. Choose easy every time. Keep it simple. Choose easy.
but see, I don't think people think that gratitude is a choice. We base it on
Yeah.
circumstances. It's
Yeah.
absolutely a
Yeah.
choice. And when
Yeah.
you choose it, it pushes out the
Yeah.
junk. And gratitude, check this out, folks, it accumulates. Even if you're having a bad
Yeah.
mindset day, which is going to affect the rest of your day,
Yeah.
if you just if you can say it out loud, say it out loud. But if you have to write it down and journal it, that's fine too.
It's a practice.
But guess what?
Yeah.
If you got a roof over your head, a
Be
little bit of
grateful.
food in the refrigerator,
Be grateful.
you got clean socks and they matched.
Maybe just being alive, but it's a muscle
Yeah, but
you're
it
building
all
that, yeah, you're building a new muscle.
exactly.
Because
Um,
let's face it, we've all built the muscle of doomsday. They call it doom scrolling, comparison. We've all built that muscle of not enoughness, not enough. But
that's
you're
right.
you were born worthy. You are enough. You are enough. Start there and build on that. Put blinders on and stop comparing, stop looking at someone else's. You have no idea what got them there.
That's right.
You
That's
know, I
right.
coach a lot of coaches and they're like, "Oh, I want to be where you are." And I'm like, "Whew, been doing this a long time. Do you really want to
You
go
want to
down
go
my
with
road?
yeah,
It's
you
like
want to
the
go with
road less
altitude.
traveled. I mean, it's literally like this." And I'm like, let me mentor you and there's an easier way. And let me ask better questions. I wish I had me, you know,
Yeah.
30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, but we're always
Ooh,
learning and growing.
that's
Yeah.
right. Let's go back to your sampling of clientele. Your
Hmm.
your your clientele that was feeling unlovable, unworthy, and invaluable. They've worked with you
Hmm.
whatever period of time, whatever program you took them through. What are they feeling now on the other side?
They're identifying. They're master detectives. They've learned to identify boundaries, what they're tolerating, that they're worthy of love. We do the practices. I love the book by Louise Hay, 21 Days to Heal Your Life, or in its practices. What they've done is they've reprogrammed. They've reprogrammed, and there is consistency with that. This is not a one and done where I'm going to say something in their life. I mean, there may be an epiphany, but that fades away. It's like going into Tony Robbins and everyone's up for it and they're pumped and they're going to build and they're going to do and then they go home and they collapse and life happens again. What I want is sustainability. And I want them to be a master detective in their life, keep their finger on the pulse. I want them to ask better questions. And if I've done my job correctly, they are elevating, they will exceed me and fly right by me because they've taken this information and they are building out and they are understanding what they're here to do, depending on what it is they're here for.
So would it be safe to say we just take the UN away from unlovable to lovable, from
Yeah.
unworthy to worthy, from unvaluable to valuable? Would that be fair?
Oh, that would be more than fair. Yeah, yeah. I tell people that money is just source. People get hooked up on money. Money follows one thing, people. It's just Einstein. It's physics. And it will only follow you if you are the authority in your life. If you don't think you're worthy and you're like, oh, whoa, whoa, and you don't feel valuable, guess where money's going to go? Anywhere but you. It's going to bounce off you. You're going to be like, why not me? More victimhood. It isn't going to follow victimhood. You might get a dime in your bucket, but it isn't sustainable. But what is the consistency of building. I am worthy. I this was my birthright and staying the course. The biggest challenge I see anyone do, and this is why I'm so repetitive. And I mean, I pound it home to where they're like, I know, I know, I know, I'm the authority. That's right. You are the authority in your life. You must be. You must be the authority in your life. God gave you this free will. Are you the authority? Are you like, here, let me give it to external validation. Let me give it to anyone but me because I don't know. I don't know enough. Yes, you do. You know enough to say, I'm meeting myself where I am and I'm starting here. But most people
Mm.
don't want to start in the beginning. They want to do this illusion of their more, and that imposter syndrome will double down on you. Start where you are. There's people that need you where you are. Your clients will that you're attracting are 2 to 3 years behind you, not your colleagues. Not, people are pitching to their colleagues, and then I'm like, what are you doing? Your clients are 2 to 3 years behind you, and they need where you are right now. They don't need you to be where I am. They need you to be where you are. Because I have actually sometimes I forget the basics of that of where I started. And people that are starting, it's brilliant. It's so brilliant. And I think I'm always like, let's get back to basics. Let's go. Let me find my fundamental stuff because sometimes we gather so much information and we get caught up in this master
Yep.
teaching and keynotes and we want to know more and we want to teach at a higher level. And then I strip it back down and I'm like, no, Dana, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Go back to basics. Just like Cali'Flour Foods, 4 fresh ingredients, keep it simple. That was the logo. And, it's what I teach. But we all want to impress and know more. And, a quick story. As a lobbyist, I remember keeping it simple, setting sales records that have never been broken. And then my ego got the best of me. And I'm like, I'm going to teach SB bills. I'm going to read them all and I'm going to explain them all to everyone. I went from unbreakable sales records to zero, closing nothing. And they're like, what are you doing? What's happening? I thought I was going to go out there and be a master teacher. That wasn't my job. And we have to ask ourselves, what is your job? What my job it was to gather business owners to stop legislation, which meant I had an airtight, keep it simple, respect their time, and they understood the concept. They didn't need me to go out there and waste their time teaching them SB bills that they didn't need to know about. And it would just like it shut him down. It shut me down. But it's an interesting story that I learned. I thought that I'm going to know more. My ego got, and it's all ego based.
Mm.
And then it was attached to that original story, the core wound. You're not smart enough. You didn't get the law degree. Drop
Mm.
in, teach more, show them how smart you are.
Yep.
I didn't think I was smart enough. All of that didn't feed my ego, but it was clever. In fact, it was genius. And I think everyone's got a genius. Everyone does. And we all have something different, and we need to celebrate that. There isn't one person I've ever met that does not have a genius.
Woo. You're talking to me now, let
Yep.
alone 13,000 people. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I am saddened that the sand in the hourglass for this time is running out, but
Mm.
I am so enriched, enlightened, and inspired by what you've shared today. Tell the folks ever so briefly where they can find you. We'll have this on the show notes, but where they
Okay.
can find you and learn more about the great work you're doing.
Oh gosh, you can find me at danagrant.com. I have on Instagram is kind of where I hang out the most. They can find me on all platforms. Just Google my name, but the real Dana Grant on Instagram. I've just launched over the last 2 weeks. I think it's so important for communities and people to connect. And I have a founder's fee for people to come in. There's healing rooms, and I'm going to go in and teach once a month. It's something I've never done. It's literally in the works, right? It's needed. I just wanted to make it accessible for people to know more, have worksheets, and just to keep building. There's meditations, there's all kinds. And then I'm going to go in there and teach because I felt a calling to do it. And, so that we built that on top of everything else. So it's called the community, and it's where people can connect, support, and there's just no reason why people can say, I can't afford that. It's $40 a month, and they're locked in for that fee forever. It will quadruple that next month, but for the month of May, it's called the community, and I want to make sure that people feel loved, supported, heard. There's rooms all of healing. There's just so much. I can't even believe we built it. It just felt the desire. So yeah, just reach out. I like to answer my own messages too. So if hears this and are moved by any of this, I will answer them.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Dana was very, very accessible and very communicative when I was trying to get a hold of her to do this interview. So she is a woman of her word for sure.
Yeah.
Dana, I want to personally thank you for
Mm.
being vulnerable with us,
You're
for
welcome.
sharing your experiences, a little bit of your life with us, not just the highlights, but the real stuff, the real part of life and the
Yeah.
growth in between and the growth that's still happening now. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. It's been my pleasure to have you today.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed our conversation. Again, it's if we help one person, if one person is moved by this and their life shifts and changes, we've done our job.
That's right. That's right. And as we close out, guys, I just have one thing to say to you, hopefully to encourage you a little bit today. Wherever you're at on your journey, if you're on top of the mountain, praise God. Don't keep it to yourself. Tell us why you're on top of the mountain. Inspire us.
Yeah.
If you're meh, it's Wednesday. You know what? Be grateful you got to see another Wednesday. Not everybody did. And if you're somebody that's struggling mightily today, you're not alone.
Mm.
There's people that care. There's people that want to help. Don't let that mindset get in your way. It's true. People want to help. People do want to love on you. And I
Mm.
want to encourage you that this won't last forever. That person on the mountaintop, by the way, that's not going to last forever either. It's going to come back to
Nope.
meh Wednesday. But if you're in the wilderness, I don't quote people directly a lot, but I like this one from Winston Churchill. If you're going through hell, keep going. It's no time to stop. And there'll
Yeah.
be a better day. There'll be a better season. Your chapter's not done. Your story's not done. I appreciate each one of you. Till next time, God bless.